Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. Yes, so today we're going to be talking about knowing your why. And I think this is a good one. This is actually one of the first things I was taught when I did my coaching certifications many years ago. This is one of the first things that we were taught is, about knowing your why. And for anybody who you are helping to achieve a goal, that it's really important that you understand why you are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not really just that surface level why, it's getting deeper, it's getting underneath the why, beneath the why, to really understand why it is you are doing what you want to do. But so it might be going, right, I'm going to start a business. Why? Because I want to make some money. Well, why do you want to make some money? So it's about just carrying on. Well, I want to make some money because I really want to buy myself a new house. Well, why do you want to do that? Because that is, so it's just digging deeper, deeper, deeper. And actually, ultimately, probably the reason that you're going to want to do something is because the way it's going to make you feel. It's going to be a feeling that you're going to get. You're feeling of fulfillment, a feeling of joy, whatever. And so it's tapping into that. It's tapping into that feeling rather than just going for the success of something. It's kind of going deeper. And that is when you're more likely to stick to something.
That's the thing, because that's exactly the I think for me anyway, the sort of most important thing about knowing your why is that when things get really difficult and when let's just take a couple of different examples. So using two sort of different things. Number one, like my business, for example, and number two, let's say something like exercise. So, for example, when it comes to, let's say, exercise, I regularly, in fact, I would say every time. I mean, this morning, for example, I did an upper body strength training session. I never want to do it. I never feel like doing it. But I know why I'm doing it. And so when I just can't be asked, I go back to why I'm doing it. And for me, it's partly, with strength training anyway, it's largely because of bone density. And I know and I've got osteopenia, which is the precursor for osteoporosis, blah, 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 menopausal woman. My bones have got weaker over the last 4 or 5 years, which is really genuinely quite worrying to me. I'm like, what the hell? And basically, I know that strength training is one of the main things that I have to do in order to build my bones back up. So I am determined to keep doing it and to be consistent with it. So when I don't feel like doing it, I go back to the why of why I'm doing it. Also, I'm doing it because I want to become more toned. I want to get back in shape and all of those things. So it's just, I think it really helps when you really don't want to do something or finding something really difficult, just to remind yourself of why you're doing it. And, the exercise thing, when it's a freezing cold morning and it's dark and, whatever else, and you really don't want it would be so much easier just to not do it. Do you know what I mean? Or get out for that walk or whatever it is. But when you remind yourself of your why, it just gives you that kind of kick up the arse that you need. And the same with, something like building a business. Like, as you and I have talked about this a lot on Monday Motivation. And there are so many times where I wonder what the hell I'm doing. I have no idea how it's going to pan out. I don't, I know where I'm headed, but I don't know what that journey is going to look like. I don't know what route I'm going to take. That's up to the universe. And there are so many times where it feels incredibly hard. I'm really tired. I work freaking 7 days a week. And I sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, this is too hard. And I have moments where I'm like, oh, maybe I should just, go and get a job. But I'm like, no, because my why is because I don't want to. I absolutely not. I don't want to. I refuse to go back to a job that I don't give a shit about. And I refuse to go and suck up a job working for somebody else that my heart is not in. I just absolutely, so that is one of my, that is my biggest why. It's like, because I'm just not doing that anymore. So because of that, I have to keep going with this. And also, my why is the kind of bigger why of why I'm doing what I'm doing, which is trying to help single women feel better about being single. And also, the one thing that you and I talk about a lot on this is, helping women understand, and for my audience, single women, helping people understand that we have more control over our lives and we can create the kind of life that we want, and we don't have to suck it up and do something we don't really want to be doing. So that is also my why. It's that bigger kind of passion of having this message that I really, really want to share with people, and I really want people to understand, so that essentially they can, upgrade their lives. So it really is it's so important to know your why, because on the days where you can't be fucked, if you don't know your why, then you're probably not going to do it. You're probably going to take the path of least resistance. You're probably just going to be like, I'll do it tomorrow. But when you know your why, that is what motivates you to keep going. That is what allows you to find that sort of thing deep within you that's like, no, come on, Lucy, you know why you're doing this, keep going. So for me, certainly with my business, it's something that I go back to regularly when things feel incredibly hard and I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I feel like it's all just too difficult and too overwhelming. And one example, I mean, I spent over the last week, I've spent quite a bit of time working on my website. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still not the best, but basically I don't really use it, and I knew that it needed some work. And it's one of those things where it's just so painful to have to do something technical that you're not really very good at yet, and you're not really very fast at. And it's just like, oh God, this is such a pain in the ass. And again, when you go back to your why, you're like, okay, I can do this. Come on. It's just that thing that just keeps you moving forward, really taking those baby steps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that thing which really drives you and
Yeah.
motivates you. And in those moments when you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? And you could easily give up. It's that thing which is just going to remind you, right, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Have you ever read, have you seen that video of Simon Sinek? He did a really good video, about it's his why concept, and he uses Apple as an example, and he breaks it down into 3 years. He kind of calls it the golden circle. So there's like the why is like your core belief, it's like your purpose, it's the thing, your reason, and it's the thing that really drives you, beyond really making money. It's that real kind of, the nucleus of it all. Then
Yeah.
you've kind of got the how, which is the processes, which is the next level. It's the how you're going to do it. And then really finally it's the what. So with Apple, that was I mean, I can't remember what the how was, but it was about beauty. It was about, producing something so seamless and beautiful and wonderful. And actually the what was the actual device, the devices itself, and that is kind of like the outer circle. So really at the heart of a really amazing products such as Apple, they started with the why, with the why before they did the what. And I think that is just a really good lesson to all of us, that actually, rather than just focusing on the what, really hone down on why it is what you do. I mean, for me, and for what I do, initially, when I started all of this sort of business, it was all to do with, my why was very much about sharing the word about menopause.
Mm.
I was so enraged that nobody knew about it, and that really drove me. And then that kind of, it's great because now that's so out there in the world. It's so lovely that you start with something which and so passionate about, and then you suddenly go, my goodness, the whole world is now talking
Yeah.
about menopause.
Yeah.
And
So
although I
true.
still think although I still think that's a really important thing, my why isn't so deep now because I can see that that's happening. And my why now is, I feel it's really passionate about teaching people to breathe properly, and how, you can use their breath. But on a bigger level than that, one of my big whys is showing my children uh, that their mum can create something really amazing
Mm.
out of nothing, follow something that she loves to do, and make a business out of it and create money out of it. And that for me is a massive why. I want to show them that, my goodness, if you follow your dreams and follow
Yeah.
your passions, you can actually do it. So that is for me a really big why. And I also want to um yeah, my other why is I really want Giles to leave his job and go and do his own thing, and not, and I take over the reins, so on a proper scale. That's my other big why. So yeah, it's just really honing into what is why you do what you do, those things on a daily basis, which sometimes you'd rather not be doing,
Yeah.
but there's an end goal. But it's more than just it's kind of more than just the goal. It's more than just the success.
Yeah.
It's the thing which really will keep you going. And yeah, I mean, exercise is a very good one, I think, Lucy. I think, people, particularly people, I mean, I think, when I was doing coaching, one thing they kept giving examples for was particularly people who perhaps wanted to change their eating habits. If they were eating an awful lot of processed food and not eating particularly healthily, that's quite a difficult one to keep going when you're surrounded constantly by crap food in the supermarkets,
Mm.
everywhere we go. So that one, if is like, why is it that you want to eat in a certain way? You have to constantly come back to a deeper level of, you
Yeah.
want to feel you want to feel alive, you want to feel fit, you want to feel clear-headed. It's about, what is it you really want? It's not just that you want to, eat a salad because it's healthy. There's got to be more to it than that, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just not going to do it. Because let's face it, well, I'd rather eat a chocolate cake sometimes,
Yeah.
So it's like you got to remind yourself, why is it you're doing it?
Yeah. Totally. Um, I'm just thinking of how people can actually find, like, if someone's like not entirely sure or finding it difficult to kind of connect with their reason why. I'm just trying to think of ways that they can do that. Isn't there something where what's that thing where I can't remember who this is, or maybe this is the Simon Sinek thing where, no, I don't think it is him, it's somebody else, where you ask 7 questions and you keep asking questions. So you go
Mm,
down. So basically, you're like, so why do you want to eat healthily? Because I want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Because I don't want to feel like shit anymore. Why don't you want to feel like? So you keep.
yeah,
Do you know the thing I'm talking about? I
yeah.
can't remember who came up with it, but it's the 7 questions. There's a name for this thing. I wish I could remember it. It's really annoying, but there's a name for it. And so I think that is always quite a good way of really getting to the bottom of why you really,
Yeah.
the deeper
For,
reasons of why you want to do something.
yeah, for
Do you know the thing I'm talking about?
I know I don't, but I kind of, but it's, I think it's just I just know that you just keep asking those questions, what's important about that? Why do you want to feel better? Well, because I want to have more energy to be able to play with my kids. What, and also, why do you want to do that? Because I want to be the best mom I can and have the best relationship. It's really just about what's important about that,
Mm,
what's important about that, and
yeah,
drilling down to it. And eventually you'll come to that thing, which is your real core driver. It's not necessarily that first surface
yeah,
level why you think it is. And I think you can just ask yourself, what is it really which is you're so passionate about? Ultimately, it's about really driving into what lights you up. And I
yeah,
think, we often do things because we feel we ought to or whatever, but actually, if we can really drill it down again into, what is the thing which really we feel so excited about, that is what's going to drive you forward. That's going to
mm.
keep you motivated. That thing which sparks something within you. A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
Yeah. just for anyone listening, we're getting some very, very distracting messages, which are completely making it really difficult to concentrate.
Oh, I
I'm
haven't
gonna.
seen it. I'm not
Oh,
getting
have you
those.
not? Have you
No,
not? Can you not see them?
no. They don't come up for me.
Okay. I am going to hang on a sec. Are you still there? I think
Yeah, I'm here.
I think I've. Can you not see those messages at all?
No, they don't. They must only come up for the person who's hosting.
Yeah,
Unless,
that's so basically all through this, like for anyone listening on the podcast, apologies, all through this live, I've just removed this person. There's been somebody sending just really annoying messages like every second. It's so weird that you can't see it. But then when I was thinking, should I remove her? And then I was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then when she said something about Lucy's husband's penis, I thought, do you know what? I think I'm going to remove you now. So I've removed her. Like just nonsensical messages, completely
oh,
nonsensical.
the joys of
Um,
Instagram.
yeah. Anyway, for those people listening on the podcast, that's why I just that we're on we record these on an Instagram live. But yes, it was just throwing me because it's very, very distracting, isn't it? To have people we've had that a couple of times in the chat when we've been on these lives where we've had like a couple of really inappropriate people just like firing off message after message after message, and it's really difficult to stay focused on the conversation when you can just see these messages coming in, especially when they're really kind of weird and inappropriate. Anyway, uh, moving on back to the why. So just makes me think, why are we doing these lives? Why do we do them? Well, we do these lives because we wanted to do something that would make Instagram lives feel less scary. And I suppose actually that is a really good example, in fact, of how continuing to do these like normally, if when we'd first done these lives, had that happened and that person was sending those inappropriate messages through, it would have completely, like, do you know what I mean, thrown me off
Yeah,
even more than it did today.
yeah,
But isn't that interesting? Suddenly it's like, yeah, okay, let me just see how I can remove her. Anyway, sorry, gone off on a complete tangent.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to think now what we can where to go from here. Um, of why it really of yeah,
I'm
how
kind
to
of,
find your why. I think another way you can find your why is, you can just literally sit down and write, journal, and just constantly ask yourself, okay, well, why, and just see what comes out. Just
yeah,
drill down. Even when you think you've got to it, ask that question again. Actually, why is that important? What is important about that?
yeah.
And see if you can get right down to it.
Also, another thing to do is to tie it into your values and work out the value beneath whatever it is that you're doing. Like, so
Yeah,
going back to, for example, in me in this business, my top value is freedom. Like that is and that is the thing that drives me, I think, more than anything else. It's just that feeling, this innate feeling I have to be free. And so when you and so that I come back to that often as well. So if maybe you and I have talked about values before, haven't we? But I think it's a really useful exercise to do, is to write out what are your sort of top 5 or 6 values. Because when so for example, going back to the healthy eating or the strength training, it's like if one of your values is health, well, there you go. So I think it helps to relate it back to your main values, and that is a really good exercise to do anyway. If anyone wants to listen, we did an episode on values quite a long time ago now, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was a long time ago. Yeah, a very long time ago. Yeah, it's funny because yeah, my top value as well is freedom. Absolutely, it's kind of, and that's when you connect with people as well, when you know what your values are. It's so nice because
Yeah,
actually, you might be very different, but if you've got similar values, that's where your connection really comes, because that's what's important to you.
yeah,
And so knowing your values, you're quite right, that is really if you know your top 5 values,
mm,
those are the things which are the most important to you, and they will change over time. They're
yeah,
not always going to be the same. They can change, as can your why. Your why can change. It's very
mm,
fluid. but
yeah,
knowing your values is going to really help you understand why you might be doing something.
yeah,
And and I suppose if you find out that actually you haven't really got a very firm why about something, it's a bit like, well, why are you why are you doing it?
yeah, yeah,
Is it that important? Are should you maybe be putting your energy into something else
yeah.
which is more important to you?
Good point.
Um,
Yeah,
I suppose because if you're I don't know, I can't even think of an example, but it's about how you're spending your precious time. Time is our only finite resource out there. So that we it's so important that we spend it wisely. So it
yeah,
has to be something which is very important to
yeah,
you.
absolutely. And I think when it boils down to it, like, like we are saying at the beginning, the most or for me anyway, the thing that I find most useful about this question and about just coming back to it is, again, it's when we are finding it hard to carry on with something or start something or do something, it is so incredibly helpful to just get back to the reasons why you are doing it. And I think so often it would be, it would be so much easier just to not bother or to, stop something or make excuses, whatever it is. But I just really think it is the best way to ensure that you carry on doing the thing that you're doing or doing the thing that you want to do. And
Yeah,
again, in those moments where it feels incredibly hard, going back to your why can often be the thing that just is like, okay, I've got this. It
yeah,
really does make such a difference. If you're just trying to do it just for the sake of doing it, then it's really hard. But connecting back to the reason why just gets you over that kind of hump of it feeling really heavy and really difficult and really
yeah,
tough. So for
yeah,
me, that is the main reason why it's incredibly helpful to always have that to come back to in the various different areas of my life.
yeah. And if you don't do that, if you don't know what your why is, then that's when I think you can get just really lost and stuck in a rut, and you're just chasing goals that don't fulfill you. That's when you just probably work too hard without if you don't have a deeper motivation to it, that's when you kind of hit that burnout of just like, you're just
Yeah,
grinding away for nothing in particular. And I think
totally.
that's when it's like, oh, what am I doing? I
Yeah,
think I've definitely been in that place, just
yeah,
not really being fulfilled by the work I'm doing, but just doing it anyway.
yeah,
And yeah, you feel really super stuck. But when you can constantly bring yourself back to your why, then that's when you don't get that kind of sense of burnout, that
yeah.
sense of you're just going through the motions. You're not, so, it's easy to get on autopilot,
Mm,
but I think if particularly if you haven't got a reason why you're a deep reason, which is of value to you, but that is why when you have, then you can kind of get yourself off that
yeah,
autopilot mode and back
yeah,
into actually enjoy. Ultimately we want to enjoy what we're doing, and of
yeah,
course sometimes the things can be really hard, but the aim of the game at the end of the day, and particularly with us with our businesses, and you want to enjoy the journey as much as you possibly can. If you're exercising, and I know you say that you absolutely don't like it, but if you can keep coming back to the reason why you're doing it, you're
yeah.
always going to feel good after you've done it.
Totally,
Um, because then you'll
totally.
go, right, yes, that's another step forward towards my goal. It's just like
Yeah,
literally, it just makes even the really hard things you don't necessarily enjoy in the moment. Once you've ticked it off the list and you've done it, then you're going to feel good, and you're going to really, it makes it all worthwhile.
yeah, absolutely. One other thing, actually, before we wrap up is, um, I think also what knowing your why can be really useful for is if you kind of fall off the wagon, which let's face it, we all do. It can bring you back. It can when you remind yourself of why you would, like, say for example the strength training. Say I kind of get off that train for a bit and I'm like, oh God, which I definitely have done. It's coming back to your why that makes you come back to it. So it's totally fine and I think it can be very easy. Like, I know myself, if I'm just really like, let's say, healthy eating, if I have like a few days of eating really badly, let's say, you know, it's very easy to be like, oh, fuck it, I don't care, you know, whatever. Well, I've done it now, you know, I've ruined it, so I might as well. Do you know what I mean? I might just as well carry on, you know, not doing my strength training or eating badly or whatever it is. But when you then remind yourself of why you were doing it in the first place, you're like, oh yeah, and it kind of makes it easier to come back to it. And I think
Yeah.
we have to remember that it really is so easy to give up on something because we have a couple of bad days and we make that everything, you know, like at New Year you can get to sort of, I don't know, February the 7th and be like, have a couple of bad days or whatever your New Year's resolution was, and then think, oh well, what's the point now, you know, what's the point? Well, actually you've got the entire rest of the year and your life to carry on doing it. And when you come back to the reasons why you started it in the first place, I just think it's very important to remember that it's perfectly fine to have a bit of off time, or, you know, times when you're not firing on all cylinders and perhaps certain things are going, you know, slightly
Yeah.
off.
Well,
But
I've just had a weekend of really bad eating, of drinking too much, and this morning I really, really did not want to get out of bed and go for a run. I'm kind of following a half marathon training plan at the moment, and anyway, I was due to go for a run. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go, and I literally had to come back to, myself and go, right, well, yeah, I have had a bit of a blowout weekend, but I'm gonna just, I want to keep going with this
yeah,
plan. I really drilled into why do I want to do it? Because I know I'm going to feel good afterwards, because this is, stick to my goals. And I did. And of course I felt great once I had done it.
yeah,
So yeah, you just have to constantly come back. But then, don't beat yourself up if you fall off the wagon, because
yeah,
we all human, we're all going to do that
yeah,
always.
yeah,
And even the best of us, we all fall off the wagon.
yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. Well, look, I think, I mean, we've pretty much done 29 minutes past. And
Yes.
apologies again for the little blip in the middle, but yes, that woman was leaving, or girl, whoever she was leaving, just really inappropriate comments. So I just felt like I had to say something because I knew that I wasn't properly focusing. So anyway, that was why. But it's been a pleasure as ever, apart from the
Thanks,
blip.
Lucy. Thank
But
you. Yeah, I'm intrigued to know what she was saying. Maybe you have to tell me after.
yeah,
All right. All right.
all right, love.
Thank you,
Thanks
everybody.
for
Thanks a lot.
listening.
Take
See you
care.
later, love. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.